Parashat Beshalach, Shabbat Shalom. One of the most interesting of the portions of the Bible is the portion of Beshalach, which gives the great miracle of the splitting of the Reed Sea, the final miracle of the Exodus, which catapulted the Jews in a very real way out of Egypt and caused the death of so many Egyptian people who had been taskmasters and slave owners before. ואז ישיר משה ובני ישראל את השירה הזאת. And Moses and the children of Israel sang a magnificent song. And that song is part of our daily prayer. What is very interesting, especially in Israel and especially in terms of the modern headlines in the Israeli newspapers, as soon as the Jews stopped their song with Moses, and I said Jews, but I meant males, the Bible goes on, and the Bible says, in verse 20, ותיקח מרים הנביאה אחות אהרון את התוף בידה. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a drum in her hands. ותצאנה כל הנשים אחריה בחופים ובמחולות. And all of the women went out after her, with drums and with dances. Vatan lahem Miriam, and Miriam chanted in song after them. Shiru Lashem, sing you unto the Lord. Ki ga'o ga'a, because he has triumphed magnificently. Sus v'rochvo ramaviyam, the horse and its driver were pushed into the sea. And there's been a great deal of discussion of late about religious soldiers in the IDF and whether or not they can listen to women singing. And what's exceedingly interesting in this week's portion is that women are singing. And it doesn't say anywhere in the Bible that the men absented themselves. And they did more than sing. They were dancing. And they were playing musical instruments. And apparently the men were there, and the men were at least listening and perhaps even cheering them on and joining into their song. Although from the text it would appear that the men and women sang separately, but in front of each other. I would like to make the position of halacha very clear, at least in terms of my own understanding. The Talmud, in the tractate Brachot 24, says that a woman's voice can be sexually arousing. The context in which the Talmud says it is if someone is reciting the Kriyat Shema, he should not listen to a woman's voice singing because this may take him away from concentrating on the Kriyat Shema. That seems to be the context of the prohibition. And the truth is that even when the Shulchan Aruch, Rav Moshe Isserles, takes this particular prohibition in section 75 of Ohr Torah, he says exactly this, that if it's the sound of singing with which the person is not familiar, and it's women singing, then he should not listen while reciting Kriyat Shema, because Kriyat Shema requires intense concentration. Otherwise, you haven't fulfilled the commandment. But it doesn't necessarily go beyond that. Now, clearly, a torch song, a sexually suggestive song, should not be sung by women in the presence of men. And frankly, it should not be sung by men either in the presence of women. It shouldn't be sung by anyone. But as far as women singing per se is concerned, there's an amazing responsive of the Shtei Chemed, and this is very much in line with Miriam, in which the Shtei Chemed rules that if the song is a song of sanctity, a song related to praise of God, a song related to the land of Israel, then there is no prohibition. And even a woman can sing solo. And Rav Yechiel Weinberg of Montreux, who was a very great halachic decider of the last generation, in a very strongly worded responsum, grants permission for young men and young women to sing together within the context of Bnei Akiva. And he makes the point at the conclusion that halacha does not insist upon separate men and women social communities, except when they are praying in synagogue, and then there must be the separation divider or the mechitza. Under normal circumstances, again, with the exception of prayer, men and women need not be totally separated, and that goes for a bus as well. Any other stringencies that people want to declare upon themselves, everyone has the right to do whatever he wants, but only in a private place, certainly not in a public place, and certainly not insisting that women get on the back of the bus, certainly not insisting that soldiers cannot hear women singing. If they find it objectionable because they take a more stringent approach, you can always put in earplugs. All the best. Shabbat Shalom.